y estamos en este episodio de Marketing Activo conversando ahora con Eduardo Ribeiro Golin, más conocido como Eduardo Golin, ¿sí? Y viene del Ministerio de Turismo de Brasil, que aprovechando su visita por el SAHIC 2014, aquí en Quito, en el JW Marriott, estamos empezando una conversación muy importante que definitivamente marca un punto de quiebre el Brasil con tantos eventos internacionales que ya tuvo el uno, que no vamos a hacer la broma que les hicieron al empezar el panel, ¿no? Y vamos a hacer una entrevista preparada en 3 idiomas. Portoñol, de principio, español, pero también inglés, también inglés. Y Eduardo, welcome you to Marketing Activo, and talking about World Cup as a platform to explore new branding for Brazil. From the Ministry of Tourism, what was the plan? What was the plan? How it worked it out? How many people you received? Like you received millions of people.
Yeah. So I'll try to speak in English. That was like a major event. It's like an inflection point in the tourism of Brazil. So we prepared ourselves for the past 5 years, to hold this event, and so we spent $12 billion in infrastructure, urban transportation, stadiums, security. So that was a very good event for us to anticipate the investments that we needed to do. So we could have creation of more than 1 million jobs during the World Cup. And if you see the impact that it had on the economy, it's not only a short-term impact. You have to see these major events. You really need to see that on the long term, But let's talk about the short term. We received more than 1 million international tourists. More than 3 million Brazilians traveled within the country to watch the games and to participate to this party, And in this 1 million people, international tourists that came to Brazil from 200 different nationalities, they visited more than 400 cities within Brazil. So not only the 12 cities that held the games, they hosted the games, but other 400 cities within Brazil. So this really represents the rebranding of Brazil, not only in Rio, not only in São Paulo, but with the other cities that are capacitated, trained, or competitive in attracting tourists in Brazil. If you see most of the people that came to Brazil, they were from South America. South America, Argentinians were in the first place. More than 160,000 Argentinians came to Brazil. And of course, in the second place, you had the United States, not from South America, but it's still in the American continent. And more than 110,000 people came from North America. And then we have Chile, we have Colombia, and we have Mexico, with 50,000 and 40,000 people that came. So this really rebranded ourselves because 95% of the people that came here, they were satisfied. They approved the experience and the tourism within Brazil. And when you see the 3 major points that the international tourists loved in Brazil, the first one is hospitality. We already knew that we were going to be good, and this was
the samba.
Yeah, the samba.
All the women, of course.
Yeah, too. So hospitality in the first place.
Well, I was asking, while the World Cup were taking place, first days, I was in Cannes in France, and I was asking, I was quite asking because I always ask because of my work. Yeah. And they were most of the guys will say, I want to go just because of the women. So I think that's quite a very attractive.
Yeah, we didn't ask this. So we don't know. Like this could be another.
So you're lucky.
Yeah, we have lots of beautiful people, men and women in Brazil. So maybe this another attraction. But it's like hospitality, the first place, culinary, the second place, and security. So and. Like if you really like analyze this topic specific, like security, this is like very often we are like seeing the news abroad, like and not only Brazil but the whole South America is seen like with a very bad perspective, and we could rebrand ourselves, could rebrand our image on this specific topic. So like we have more than 92%, I think it was 92% of approval of the public security. So. If you check these numbers, you see that this was a major opportunity, not only for the short-term investments, but like if you see in the long term, like the rebranding and the opportunity that we have now to really retain these tourists, because like 95 to 96% they were interested in coming back, So this is a really opportunity for us to improve even more our tourism within Brazil.
What do you think from the Minister of Tourism, of course, Eduardo, in Brazil, cities as Florianópolis, maybe, that is beautiful, and some other cities, you were saying 400 were visited during the World Cup. What would you say for 2016 with the Games, with the Olympic Games? How you are preparing for that time 2 years from now? And it will be, do you think it will be visited as much as the World Cup?
It's
like
different.
the extended of territory. I mean.
It's really different because like in the World Cup you had like 12 host cities. So in every region of Brazil, so you really concentrated some tourists in specific regions. So like if you see like the English ones, they were more in the north of Brazil. Like they were one of the biggest public that we have in the north of Brazil. And this will be different during the Olympic Games because it will be more concentrated within Rio de Janeiro. But this is an opportunity. This is really an opportunity. We are not expecting to receive as much as we received in the World Cup because World Cup is like the biggest. We expected to receive 600,000 and we received 1 million. For the Olympic Games, we were expecting like 480,000. Probably this number can change, and specifically because the change, the rebrand of our image, maybe we can even get more international tourists to Brazil during the Olympic Games. But this is true. The thing is, like Florianópolis was the 15th city to be visited, and there was no game there.
No.
Another example, Foz do Iguaçu, it was like the 12th. So it was like even it received even more tourists than Manaus that received the games. So this is really important. It's not only Rio. What Brazil has to do is like a strategy to promote another cities within Brazil, because we know that a person that come from England, from France,
even us. I mean, for us, it's quite long.
Even in South America. It's not going to. The expectation is not only to go to Rio. Like 70% of all the international tourists that came to Brazil, they were in Rio. Like Rio was the most visited city. But like they were like another cities could attract, and we expect the same thing to be done during the Olympic Games. It's not going to be as much, in my opinion, as in the World Cup, because the World Cup. It was pulverized. Now you have like lots of host cities, but this will happen again. We are sure about that. One other thing is like when we're talking about international tourists that come to Brazil, 80% spend more than a week in Brazil.
That's very important because that figure gives you the idea of how much they are spending also.
Yeah.
And how long they were staying? If they stay for farther than a week, I mean, saying a week, 7 days.
Yeah, the average was 13 to 15 days, and they spent like, if you check an individual expenditure, it was like $2.1 thousand. So it was pretty good, you know. Like, of course, the Australians and the Mexicans, they were the ones that spent more. They spent more than $3,000, but like the average was $2.1 thousand. And if you see like for the whole period, like the direct expenditure was like up to $1.6 billion, was like 60% more in the same period in 2013.
So those are the figures on having the World Cup in one country. And it was really nice to have it in South America, of course, you know. Even when Brazil, sometimes it's looks like another continent by itself, you know. And we have here at the SAHIC convention talking a lot about Brazil and investments in Brazil, and talking a lot about the bureaucracy in Brazil. What do you have to tell me about it? If I will be a hotel or an investor that want to do something in Brazil, what is this bureaucracy that everybody was talking about here?
Yeah, I think there are two things in this specific topic. One is that, like, even though the bureaucracy that exists in Brazil, we're expecting just in the hotel sector more than 11 billion reais, so $5 billion up to 2016 investments in hotels within Brazil. So probably a little bit less than 400 hotels within Brazil are going to be launched up to 2016. So this one thing, like, even though there are some problems or some things that we need to improve, investments are being made. When we're talking about bureaucracy, we're basically talking about an agenda that we have that is basically to really increase the competitiveness of Brazil as a tourist destination, as an investment destination. So we really need to improve, and if you say like our labor laws, our environmental laws, our taxes, like we already know that, but it's not that simple. Like, it's very easy to know that it needs to be changed, but the thing is that it was important for some time to be like that, you know. Like we could, like, for the past years, like if you look like from 1992 up to now, we just included more than 45 million people in the middle class in Brazil. So we're like the growth of Brazil for the past years is like amazing. Of course, this year is a little bit less than the others, but like if you see in the long term and in the tendency for the next years, you see our growth
keep growing.
Yeah, we'll keep growing. So our inflation, we're expecting it to be less in 2016, up to 4.5%. So like we have like very good a sound macroeconomic policy, but we need to improve our agenda of competitiveness. And it's not only about bureaucracy that we told, like labor laws and these kind of things, but it's also about being able to increase the standards, the skills of our professionals, of our people, no? So like during the World Cup, we trained more than 90,000 people. So we were talking about waiters, we were talking about taxi drivers, we're talking about people that work in the hotel reception. But we need to improve that. We need to really raise the bar and think about even attracting schools like Cordon Bleu, or even hospitality schools to Brazil, or doing exchange programs, sending some students abroad in order to really raise the standards of our education. This is another important part. So the competitiveness agenda in Brazil, it passes through a framework, a legal framework that needs to be improved, and we know that. And it passes through the points that we already talked about. It passes through the training to raising the skills of our people, and it passes through also to being able to promote ourselves better. So the World Cup was very good in this specific point, and being able to really create better conditions to access the credit. Mm-hmm. So this is another thing. Like if you check the scenario that we had, like in 2013, we probably spent like $500 million like in credit with the tourism industry. Like for the past 3 years, we spent like $15 billion. So it's really different. This is something that we need to improve the conditions. Of course, we need to. We know that we have like a path to do it, and we can be better than we are. But if you check like what we were and where we are right now, you see that Brazil is a really good place to invest in, and we are trying to do some changes in order to be better.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Eduardo, on Brazil from 2016 with the games, but after that, there are some people on some news, of course, that even Greece with a crisis, the economic crisis that live in Europe, and Greece were host for the Olympics game 10 years ago, if I'm not wrong, and now it's like a white elephant. What do you think about it? What is going to be in Brazil after the Olympic Games? We have this major, huge event that was the World Cup. We talk about it. Yeah. We talk a little bit about the Olympic Games. And what is going to be after that? What is going to do Brazil after that to keep growing, or at least maintain all the growth? You know?
Yeah. The question about white elephants, it is made like in every single country that hosts a big event. Like it's again, if you look like if you really expect only the stadium to be profitable itself, I don't think this is the case. You have to see like just one example, no? Like if you look like the stadium of Brasilia. Every event that is made in the Stadium of Brasilia, it probably generates an income of 12 million reais, so $5 million. It improves like the generation of the revenue of the commerce in the city in 30% within like in the boundaries of the stadium. So you really need to think not only as a stadium, but as an instrument of catalyzing, like to generating more income and more employees, more employment within a specific city, within the country. So when you're thinking about after 2016, we have specific plans, like to 2016. I would say like one of our major plans for 2016 is being able to receive 7.9 million international tourists. Today, like last year, we received 6.5. We really think like up to 2022 to be the third economy in tourism in the whole world. Today, we are the seventh. Like if you check the WTTC, we receive like 7.
You are in the seventh position.
Yeah, we are in the seventh position. Like in income, we are in the sixth in employment. Like because we employ like more than 3 million people. No? Like at WTTC, they say that the tourism sector in Brazil is like $77 billion a year. So this is like just some numbers. The same thing when we're thinking about the domestic tourism. Like we really think that we are able to increase and receive more passengers, domestic passengers, up to 250 million a year. So we have numbers. We are working on that. It's not that easy. It doesn't depend only on us. It depends in a whole external scenario. But we're trying to really be the place and where tourism is a priority, and an investor can come in and can invest securely and to attract tourists like from different regions and specifically in South America.
Asking about that and being the last question, Eduardo, let us know from where are the most visited, where are they from? All the visitors. I mean,
all the visitors?
Would be Argentina for being next to it. I don't know. Will be United States. Will be because of the business. Where do you have the first market? What is the first market for Brazil?
Yeah, today, it's really, when you think about the World Cup is one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you think about
without
the World Cup is another thing. So during the World Cup is basically after the World Cup or not considering the World Cup, Argentinians, Americans, and Germans are like our three biggest. You have Uruguayans. They are one of the most
the current, the most current visitors.
So this I would say that there are the four major countries that send visitors to Brazil. Yeah.
What about Ecuadorians?
We are here.
Let me know about Ecuadorians. We're here. Come on.
we are here just to do it, just to create this relationship, not to foster its relationship, and not only Ecuadorians going to Brazil, but also Brazilians come to Ecuador, that's another thing, Brazil is a very huge market, and we send lots of tourists abroad, and they spend a lot of money. They spend a lot. If I tell you just about Florida. Last year, just 1.8 million Brazilians went to Florida. We are able, if we create these conditions to retain within South America these tourists, and we have to work specifically towards that, I think. So that's an invitation for us to work closely with other South American countries in order to prepare a better environment for tourists within the continent.
So that was the invitation to go to Brazil. Thanks, Eduardo. You have to speak Portuguese at least a little bit to invite Ecuadorians to go to Brazil. Come on.
Okay, thank you very much. Obrigado a todos os equatorianos que puderam me ouvir. Eu conto com vocês na presença no Brasil, não só nas Olimpíadas de 2016, mas também aí para os próximos anos, que a gente consiga realmente atrair vocês. É um país fantástico, o país está crescendo muito, o setor de turismo é sensacional, espero contar com vocês lá, e a mesma coisa trazendo brasileiros para cá. Muito obrigado.
Con eso nos despedimos, gracias por acompañarnos en Marketing Activo, les esperamos en una próxima entrevista.